All right, well, let's bring in Morgan Ortagus, former State Department spokesperson and founder of Polaris National Security. Morgan, it feels like we're in uncharted territory here, even though we're talking about a region that is historically quite volatile. You just heard Trey Yank saying that he's never seen fighting quite like this before. So break down the situation at hand from your perspective and how the United States should respond to this.
Well, first of all, I'm in the Middle East right now. I'm coming live to our audience from Doha, from Qatar. And I can tell you that the Qataris and the people I'm talking with here today, everybody was caught by surprise. And there will be a whole assessment of why that happened. But just to set the bigger context, this is Shabbat in Israel right now. This is also a high holy day, Simchat Torah. We're at the end of Yom Kippur. We also know that this attack is basically coming on the anniversary, the 50-year anniversary of the Yom Kippur War, where sadly, as we all remember in our history, Israel was also surprised in the attack on that day. Now, what's really different about this attack, as Pete was just describing, compared to like the Yom Kippur War per se, is the sophistication of the terrorists and how this was designed also for social media. You can see that Hamas and their entities are showing the attacks. They were showing their militants coming in on these gliders, and they're getting this stuff out in social media to try to rev up the Arab world. And you saw that immediately they were calling for Hezbollah, which is in Lebanon. Again, as Pete pointed out, they were calling for all of these various terrorist factions to unite. Now, what do all of these terrorist factions have in common? So you have Hamas, which is in Gaza, you have Hezbollah in Lebanon, you have the Houthis in Yemen. We could go through all the lists of terrorist organizations. What they all have in common, they're all trying to kill Israel, and they are all funded by Iran. So why am I in the Middle East, Carly? I was here, I was set to go to Israel on Monday, which I will obviously not be doing now, to go to a conference that is focused on Israel and Arab peace. And as we know, the Biden administration has been working and trying to get a normalization agreement between Israel and Saudi. And what does Iran want to do? What does Hamas want to do? They obviously have a vested interest in making sure that Israel cannot be at peace with other Arab states, especially not with Saudi Arabia. So number one, Iran is absolutely behind this today. And number two, I got to tell you that I am very, very concerned for the state of the world with Biden as president. And I am not trying to be overly political today by any means, but I can indict their policy. If we know that Iran is behind these attacks today from Hamas, and we know that we just gave Iran $6 billion. How in the world does that make sense if we know that they are funding this terrorist activity? Also, in 2 weeks, in just 2 weeks from now, at the United Nations, the arms embargo will expire against Iran. So what does that mean? That means that Iran will be able to sell conventional weaponry, ballistic missiles to Russia, for example, with impunity. They're already giving Russia drones that are killing Ukrainians right now. And you'll only see the funding of terrorism that Iran has done. You'll only see that with this arms embargo expiring, with the billions of dollars that they have been given to with the Biden administration, you'll only see terrorism increase. Now, the Biden administration will say, oh, this money is going to schools and it only can be used for food and medicine and that sort of thing. Perhaps, but that $6 billion means that it opens up, money is fungible, right? So it opens up the rest of the revenue of the Iranian bank accounts to fund these type of attacks that you're seeing today against one of our strongest allies, one of our strongest friends, and the only democracy in the Middle East, and that is the state of Israel.
Morgan, what do you expect to see in the very near future as a response from both Israel and the surrounding Arab world?
Well, obviously, Israel has to retaliate. And what's really important is that there is a strong response from this administration, a strong response from Congress. Congress should go into session today, and they should pass a resolution supporting Israel's right to defend itself unequivocally, right? There should be no questions. There should be no doing an all sides thing. In fact, somebody from the State Department, from the Palestinian Twitter account for the group that oversees that portfolio, had tweeted some sort of all sides comment. It got deleted early this morning. There is no time for equivocation. There's no time for indecisiveness from this administration. Congress needs to get in session. They need to pass a resolution saying that they support the state of Israel. And no one should try, this administration should not try to tie Israel's hands behind their back. They should not say after a week, oh, okay, well, Israel's taking care of it. This is a massive attack, as Pete pointed out, something that Israelis have really never seen. When you see them going in and dragging a woman's body on the high holidays, when you see the reports of these terrorists going in and killing families and killing children, taking Israelis hostages, both civilians and reportedly some people in their military. This was designed to strike fear in the heart of Israelis on one of their religious and holy days for Jews, for people like me around the world. But we will not be scared. We will not be deterred. We know who exactly is behind this. And this administration has to stop with this incompetent policy of continuing to empower Iran. Iran is behind these attacks today. Stop giving them billions of dollars. Stop it. It's killing people.
You're exactly right on the assessment of how these wars usually go. The so-called international community gives Israel just enough time to do a little bit, and then the condemnation slowly but surely begins until they say, no, you have to stop this. Do you get a sense this might be different? If we're talking dozens of hostages, we're talking Israelis dead and alive in the Gaza Strip, we're talking Iranian involvement, Hamas. Here's Bibi Netanyahu. We'll just play it real quick. He said this is not an incursion. This is not a conflict. This is war. Watch.
Citizens of Israel, we are at war, not in an operation or in rounds, but at war. This morning, Hamas launched a murderous surprise attack against the state of Israel and its citizens. In the meantime, I call on the citizens of Israel to strictly adhere to the directives of the IDF and Home Front Command. We are at war, and we will win it.
Do you think he feels like the Biden administration is going to have a coherent policy here?
Well, listen, they need to, right? Obviously, I have been critical of them many times on your program, Pete, talking about their policy. I was openly supportive of them trying to get a peace deal between Israel and Saudi. But again, today is not the time for equivocation or trying to all sides the argument. Today is the time for both American parties to step up and support the state of Israel. And this administration has to look at their fundamentally flawed Iran policy. Listen, their Iran envoy is under FBI investigation right now and was relieved of his duties. There is something deeply and fundamentally flawed with this administration's Iran policy. And what you're seeing, by the way, at the end of the Trump administration, when I served under Secretary Mike Pompeo, what did we do? We had the Abraham Accords. That was 4 peace deals between Israel and Arab states, the first in 26 years. Within just a few months of the Biden administration, what did you see happen? Hamas started attacking Israel again. Now we have the war in Ukraine. And now, we're seeing this today, which I think could get incredibly messy, especially when you think about, again, Pete, you were explaining so well to the audience, Lebanon, Hezbollah is another terrorist organization controlled and funded by the Iranians. Israel went to war with Lebanon in 2006. That was a dangerous and costly war. If it spreads to Lebanon, it risks the chance, and I can tell you in the Middle East, the Middle Eastern leaders that I'm talking to here are concerned that this could spread to an open conflict. Right now, it's a proxy conflict between Israel and Iran, with Iran backing these attacks today. People here on the ground are concerned that this could result in a conflict not only with Lebanon, but God forbid, maybe with Iran as well. And so that is what I'll be watching for, Pete. Does this get wider? Does this get bigger? But we have to allow Bibi Netanyahu and his team to take out the terrorist threat in Gaza. It is long overdue. It's past due. It's something that is clearly a national security threat to Israel. And we're seeing an attack on the 50-year anniversary, essentially, it was yesterday, of the Yom Kippur War. We're seeing Israel surprised and attacked yet again by their neighbors.
Well, we are hearing that President Biden is going to be on the phone. He's going to have a phone call with Benjamin Netanyahu at some point today. And Lloyd Austin has already released a statement saying that he's closely monitoring the situation. Washington's commitment to Israel's right to defend itself remains unwavering. Over the coming days, the Department of Defense will work to ensure that Israel has what it needs to defend itself and protect civilians from indiscriminate violence and terrorism. I know that this particular attack seemed to have taken Israel by surprise. It happened at 6 o'clock in the morning when most Israelis were sleeping. But how prepared is Israel overall for a ground war like this? And what would they need from the United States in terms of assistance?
Yeah, you bring up such a good point about it happening early this morning. It also is happening on Shabbat. So you would not have seen, most observant Jews in Israel, Carly, would be getting ready to go to temple. Again, it's a religious holiday. And so today was a day of observance on a normal day because of the Sabbath, also because of the high holiday. So when you look at what is Israel prepared to do, listen, they without a doubt had an intelligence failure today, a massive one. We've had them too in the United States. We had 9/11. Our intelligence community got the withdrawal from Afghanistan perilously wrong, right? We saw the Taliban take over in a matter of days and weeks. So nobody is immune from having an intelligence failure. The question is, how quickly can Israel get on their feet and turn this around? What we don't need to do, Carly, is to tie one of Bibi Netanyahu's and one of his government's hands behind their back while they try to deal with this terrorist threat. They need to root it out. Of course, everybody is concerned about it spreading, but let's not put the onus on Israel. If something happens with Lebanon or with Iran, Israel did not start this fight today. Hamas terrorists started this fight today. And so we need to back and support our ally in front. Listen, if we had a situation like Gaza where we had terrorist attacks on a daily basis coming from, Canada or coming from New Jersey or something like that, that would be an intolerable situation for the American people. Why do we expect the Israeli people to live with this terrorism? Why do you expect the Israeli people to be comfortable with the fact that terrorists can come in on gliders, record themselves, and go in and shoot up families and burn buildings and take hostages into Gaza, into the tunnel? This is very tenuous and gross stuff. But if you look at what's going on Twitter, you can see what they're doing, how they're desecrating the body of an Israeli woman. It is heinous stuff. It's not anything anyone wants to see on a Saturday morning. But listen, we live in a very deep and very dangerous world in the Middle East. And this is why my former boss, Mike Pompeo, and President Trump understood that there needed to be a balance of power in the Middle East, where the United States rewarded friends and allies like Israel, like the Gulf Arab states, and punished enemies. So whenever you change that imbalance of power, and whenever you embolden a terrorist state, the world's leading state sponsor of terrorism, like the Islamic Republic of Iran, that imbalance goes out. So we know that Hamas felt emboldened today. Not only did they feel emboldened by Iran, quite frankly, they feel emboldened by this administration because they know that they can get away with the behavior that they're doing today, these terrorist attacks. They knew they could get away with it. It's plain and simple. That's why they did it.
Yeah, and Benjamin Netanyahu declared it. He said, "We are at war." Chilling words, but words that every single Israeli woke up to this morning. Morgan Ortagus, thank you so much for joining us.
I'm Steve Doocy.
I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I'm Ainsley Earhart. And click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis.